All right, I'm not gonna lie. I really liked the video from this channel earlier, so we're gonna react to the why are there no teams here, and then obviously you saw it in the thumbnail what they're talking about. So they're talking about this area right here. So we're gonna get into it.
This map of NFL teams. Now let's add NBA teams, then MLB, and lastly NHL. They have a few things in common. Firstly, they're absolutely littered with teams in these spots. But then in this cluster of states, in the Midwestern and Western regions here, there aren't any teams at all.
Yeah.
Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, North Dakota, South Dakota, Iowa, and Nebraska are a huge chunk of the USA's land mass. So why haven't they got any Big Four major league
The
teams?
Nebraska. Interesting.
Well, the first thing is to establish how different the North American sports model is to the rest of the world. European sports fans, for example, may be looking at this map with complete confusion when virtually every European town or city has a sports team of some kind. This allows teams from towns as small as Burnley in England to play in the Premier League without there really being any issues. But the key difference is that in North American sports, there is no promotion or relegation. The NFL, NBA, MLB, and NHL are closed shops, and if you want to join,
relegation
you'll
would be
need the
tough,
approval of the majority of other owners in that league. This is essentially asking them to dilute their share of a very lucrative pie. So if you want to convince them that it's worth their while, then you'll have to show them that you can increase the value of the league by a significant enough margin to justify that expansion. And one of the first questions that owners would ask you as an expansion team is about fans. So you'll often hear the phrase underserved areas, referring to areas that meet the requirements to merit teams but don't yet have them. And on paper, our selected states could fit into this category because not only do they not have Big Four teams of their own, there are hardly any Big Four teams in states nearby. This, incidentally, is why we didn't include Kansas in our selected states, as they have the NFL's Kansas City Chiefs and the MLB's Kansas City Royals just on their doorstep in Missouri. Plus, the Chiefs are officially moving across the state line to Kansas in time for the 2031 season. Now, in theory, this should provide a group of fans willing to support an expansion team in any of our selected states. So why aren't there any budding Big Four owners seeking to take advantage of this? Well, the main question is how many fans could these expansion teams actually attract? And this is very important because bigger populations also mean bigger media markets, which in turn means more advertising revenue. Live sports creates the exact kind of engaged and loyal audiences that allows the NFL to reportedly charge north of $8 million for a 30-second Super Bowl halftime commercial slot. And the policy of the Big Four leagues when it comes to commercial revenue is to get as many eyeballs on their games as possible to allow them.
And the issue is that you can't really do that with like Nebraska. Like, who's gonna watch the football game in Nebraska because the Nebraskan team is playing? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. That's why they're not there yet.
To charge bigger fees to advertisers. Smaller teams with smaller fan bases can't bring as much to the table on this front, obviously. And this is where our selected states suffer, because there just aren't that many people living there. Wyoming, for example, may have a landmass bigger than the United Kingdom, but there are only just over 500,000 people there, making it the 52nd most populous US state or territory. Fewer people obviously means smaller media markets. For example, Fargo and the surrounding Red River Valley, one of the key markets that includes North Dakota, is ranked just 113th in size across the US. Another factor to consider is the facilities available. The Big Four leagues want the biggest and most lucrative stadiums to play in. And this is another problem, because in places where there are fewer people, there's obviously not as much of a need for big stadiums. The smallest stadium in the NFL is currently the Chicago Bears' Soldier Field, but its 61,500 capacity is only a few thousand smaller than the entire population of Wyoming's state capital of Cheyenne. However, to say none of them have big stadiums would be wrong. Nebraska has Memorial Stadium in Lincoln, which has a capacity of over 85,000. It's home to the college football team, the Nebraska Cornhuskers. But this in itself highlights another problem that our selected states face. College football is a huge deal for this part of the country, and the Cornhuskers have sold out every game at Memorial Stadium since 1962. For all the talk of underserved areas, local populations are currently getting their sporting fix from college sports and don't necessarily need the NFL.
Yeah.
So what's the smallest city to have a pro sports franchise in the US? Well, that would be Green Bay, Wisconsin, which has a population of just over 100,000 people, which is not even in the top 150 largest cities in the US. Green Bay got the Packers back in 1919, before the National Football League was even called that, and it's the only team in the NFL to be run as a non-profit, with more than 5 million holding shares in the team. And yet, Green Bay is not even the smallest city to have had a pro football team. That distinction goes to LaRue, Ohio, which had a population of less than 1,000 people when the town had the Orang Indians in the early 1920s. So, why are there no Big Four teams here? Well, largely because there's just
Time
not enough
changes
people.
that. Yep.
If you like this video, please consider
Okay. I was genuinely like curious because I saw that and I was like, I wonder what their explanation is for that. So I mean that clears it up. So hopefully we do see like a team in that area soon though, because like I want to see an NFL expansion. I want to see an NBA expansion. It makes sense to have it somewhere that isn't, you know, like readily available already. So Seattle would be cool for the NBA, so you can balance it out by throwing something in Nebraska or North Dakota or something. You know what I mean?